The collection grows more unsettling as each photograph reveals its secrets. A Polaroid from 1976 shows children playing hide-and-seek in an overgrown garden. Their parents thought nothing of the strange woman in the Victorian dress standing by the rose bushes until reviewing the family albums years later. No such woman had been present that day, and each child in the photo had experienced the same recurring nightmare for years after. A lady in black lace calling their names from outside their windows. There's a curious series taken from an old camera found in a pawn shop. Each frame shows the same street corner at night, dated 1 week apart. In each successive image, the streetlights grow dimmer, the shadows longer, and more peculiar silhouettes appear in windows. The final photo shows only darkness, and what might be hundreds of eyes reflecting the flash. The camera's original owner was never found, though locals recall a photographer who became obsessed with capturing what he called the thinning of the veil. A wedding photograph from 1894 draws particular attention. The bride's face is radiant, but her groom's features are distorted, almost melted. Historical records show the groom died 2 weeks before the ceremony, yet the bride insisted on taking a solo portrait. When the plate was developed, she wasn't alone. The photographer's assistant quit that day, babbling about the smell of decay in the studio despite the fresh flowers. Deep in the stack lies a class photo from 1953. 23 smiling students and 1 teacher pose on gymnasium bleachers. 24 dark shapes cast on the wall behind them. The school burned down that winter, taking with it all records of Class 3B. Strangest of all, when survivors were interviewed decades later, none could remember having their photo taken that day. A set of surveillance stills from a museum's night security system tells its own tale. Frame by frame, a marble statue seems to shift position, its head turning incrementally toward the camera. The final image shows only static, but the night guard's log reports hearing marble scratching against marble until dawn. The statue was relocated to storage, where custodians refuse to work alone. Among the newer additions is a smartphone photo of a mirror selfie, unremarkable except for the timestamp showing 3:33 a.m. and the dozens of missed calls on the screen's notification bar. The phone was found in an empty apartment, its owner missing. The only clue was a message drafted but never sent. "It's not my reflection anymore." A curious daguerreotype shows a Victorian parlor, seemingly empty until one notices the impressions forming in the velvet armchair, as if someone, or something, is slowly taking shape while the photo was being exposed. The original copper plate carries a warning etched in frantic script. "Do not look for more than a minute. It sees you looking." The most recent addition to the collection is perhaps the most perplexing. A simple digital photo of a basement door, closed, with a child's drawing taped to it. The drawing shows stick figures of a family, but what draws the eye is the long, spindly figure looming behind them, its arms reaching around them in what could be an embrace, or something else entirely. The family living in that house reported their children's artwork changing overnight, new figures appearing in old drawings, always watching, always reaching. Some photos defy explanation. A funeral procession where every mourner's face is turned at an impossible angle toward the camera. A cornfield at noon casting shadows that point in different directions. A birthday party where every candle flame bends toward the birthday girl's shadow instead of away from her breath. The collector who keeps these photos claims they find him, appearing in old books bought at estate sales, slipped under his door on moonless nights, or mysteriously downloaded to his phone. Each carries its own weight of dread, its own whispered story of things that lurk just beyond our understanding. He keeps them locked away in a lead-lined box, but sometimes, late at night, he swears he can hear them shuffling, rearranging themselves in the dark. Perhaps most disturbing is what connects these images. A subtle thread of wrongness, a sense that reality itself bends around them like light through dark water. They serve as windows into moments where the familiar fabric of our world wears thin, offering glimpses of what waits patient and hungry in the spaces between what we know and what we fear to know. The collector knows he should destroy them, but something stays his hand. The same terrible curiosity that draws us to peer into dark corners and strain our ears at midnight sounds. After all, These photos aren't just images anymore. They're portals. And sometimes when he studies them too long, he swears the subjects begin to study him back.